One. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Stoverload Music Podcast. And it's been a little while since I brought you guys an interview. But as you know, I like to do things big and I like to make them special and very unique. And I'm going to do that today with not just another awesome musician and music artist, but he also happens to be a dear friend of the show and been a big supporter of the show for the last 2 years. So I want you to welcome my buddy, friend, and supporter of the show, Mr. Rob Volkov from Life Renewed. Rob, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me on here. Hope everybody enjoys this conversation and I sound good.
We hear you loud and clear.
Good. Hear it.
You rocking that hoodie proud, man.
Yeah, hopefully people get to see it. If not, you're missing out. It's actually, even though my house is a little chilly for the people here, but I figured, it feels good. It's actually very comfortable, to be honest. So it's not like I'm trying to show off, but I want to show some love while we're in the middle of this.
And that's so cool. You got the throwback and I got the updated.
Yeah, man.
So you're doing it in style.
We're wearing hoodies. It's just a vibe tonight, late night, Saturday night hoodie conversations.
That's right. That's right. Well, first off, Rob, for all our listeners and for those who don't know, Rob's actually a very talented musician who's been involved in multiple different kinds of projects. And I've checked out a lot of his work and some of his live streams that he's done, and guy can shred. He's really good. So I know you got a couple things in the pipeline, Rob. So I'm curious, what was it about music that told you this was the way for me? This is what I need to be doing.
Long story short, I go through periods where I have to rediscover it. I'm sure a lot of people that love something kind of have to rediscover the love for it, so you keep going. But for me, it was, I always was attuned into music. I can even remember as far back as 5 years old, even asking my parents for an acoustic guitar and never got it. So I mean, they missed out on being a prodigy son. I'm just kidding. But with that being said, I just felt like over the years, music connected with me, and especially metal. And once I got to guitar playing, it was just, I think certain musicians, like there's something in their body that meant to create. And some people have an art form and a passion. And for me, it became a form of therapy. It still is therapy for me. It's probably, if anything, more therapy now than anything. But it was something where I can still feel in my darkest times when I can put the guitar in my lap like I am right now. It just somehow just opens me up and helps me heal, and I channel myself. I'm in a better mental state. It helped me in my school when I was younger. I used to get D's and C's in middle school, and then I picked up guitar and I was getting A's. So my life is fueled by music basically 24/7, or things around music industry, podcasting, producing, songwriting, engineering. It just fulfills me and completes me in a way nothing else has or ever will.
Which makes sense, because I think a lot of people spend a lot of their life looking for that something to do that for them. And music has a universal way of healing. Even if you're not a musician, if you write lyrics or if you're just feeling the music, that's another form of it, right?
Yeah, music is pure human emotion. I'm sure there's ways that music could be created in forms that wouldn't be considered emotion, and that's a different conversation. But I think the beautiful thing about in rock and metal is a lot of the creative inspiration where people, depending who you go back to, Beatles with Abbey Road, or Michael Jackson, or Queen, or Korn, going across theirs, or Guns N' Roses, those artists and bands just found a part of themselves and they were able to express, and people felt it. When you're creating music for you and you're not following the trends and you're just following your North Star as a creative, I think for the most part, people will connect to that, because even though we as artists are talented to be able to create something that people connect to, I think a lot of people want that. They want to connect to it. Maybe they're not interested in creating music, but they want to feel music deeper than other people. And when someone else is their voice or their art, they connect to it and make it like part of theirs. whether it be a lyrical perspective or a message or a look or representation or just the notes play. Like, over the years, we'll get into it, but I've had people tell me that like it just sounds like me, and I think people can identify my style, even if I am doing certain genres, so to speak. I think the way I play just is my voice. Like it's not just even singing or screaming, harsh vocals. Like the way I play is a voice, and I think because I have gone through my life to chase after the me, like the music that's in my body, I think people connect to it, and I think a lot of people. And I'm blessed for people who say that for the record. I'm not thinking I'm good or not or whatever, but I think people feel that. I think that's why certain people like they say like a voice of a generation, like Linkin Park, and how that's the one artist that was a lot of people can relate to with like Mort Chester Bennington and how he sang and screamed and how he performed his lyrics and vocals. It just felt like a voice of a generation. So I think there's a lot of people that create, even on a quote unquote local, regional level. I don't really like saying local because I think we're all talented. So it just is different in placement in the world. But for every artist, big or small, I think we all have a voice and there are people that connect to it.
And music's been your way to channel it to have your voice be heard, which is amazing because hearing your guitar playing from in the past with previous projects you were involved in, you could really tell it was a distinctive, unique style. This wasn't anything that was replicated or duplicated. It was unique and authentic. And I think it's why a lot of people take to, bands like Chester Bennington and Linkin Park and all that. And now they're discovering your style and many other artists out there. Music has a way of bringing us together and helping us heal.
Yes, and I think like you know, copying is the greatest form of flattery in a lot of ways, and there's a lot of artists that like to imitate and copy the artists they felt. That was a sound like Linkin Park was, for example, Linkin Park was a sound that a lot of people never heard before and they connected to it. Or Korn, that's a sound that a lot of people never heard before and connected to it. And I think as artists, people want, I think it's fair to say that we all need to learn how to crawl before we run. And I think, crawl before we walk and walk before we run in a lot of ways. And I feel like, artists like myself are still finding the music within my body, what makes me me. And I think, and I really appreciate you saying that. I'm trying not to re, um, like say a rebuttal, anything like that. But it's really amazing to hear you say that because that's what I hope for. And I can get into conversations about artistic creative expression, and that's really what it is just me finding the way to express myself that maybe you can hear influences, and I have no problem sharing my influences, but I've been playing guitar since I was 16, and I've gone ups and downs in my life, periods where I took a break and things that and the other, but a lot of it is it's always been chasing me. I want people to hear me as a guitar player, even if there's vocalists over it that are more important or better vocals or better message, I still want to have my stamp as an artist on the world. And I would love to have whatever bands I've ever been in, any music that I have like a full part in production, songwriting. I want them to be able to like stand on their own and tell their own story, or at the very least, let it be that someone can capture the whole story from the music itself. I have songs from my solo project that are a journey and a story for that reason.
Very awesome. And, we're talking about the expression through music. And what comes to mind, and you hear this a lot in jazz and blues, about every note that you play, there's a purpose and a reason for that note being played. And you need to know why it's being played in that genre. Do you feel the same way with the genres and the type of music you play?
It's funny that you say that because I kind of mentioned about like, copying is the greatest form of flattery. And I think, now these days, I would say that's a little bit lost, the chase. And I think, you know, there's an old terminology called the starving musician. And to a degree, I mean, there can go many different facets. But for me, I think it really comes from just the fact that as an artistic creative, I'm trying to chase me. Whatever me is, I'm trying to get it from in my gut or in my soul or in my brain and through my fingers, through audio in whatever form. And I think I do think, and I kind of have lots of opinions that would need multiple episodes to dissect. But I do think a lot of people are trying to find the music in their soul. And I think when people find the music in their soul, it's the thing. I know that there's a producer I heard one time say that, and this is for right-hand guitar players. And if you're a right-hand guitar player, you'll get the concept. The left hand is what you know, which is the guitar playing, the hand that you use to do chords and shred what's on the fretboard. And the right hand is who you are. So a lot of times it's the journey of musicians, and at least in that case, a guitar, where what you know as a guitar player and who you are has to be applicable in both ways, and I think that a lot of people are trying. I don't think it's as genuinely represented. And not to say it as a gripe or anything, but I do think that there's a lot of people that, like I said, music is pure human emotion, and I think a lot of people aren't willing to dig. I'm a very introspective, self-reflective person, so I think I reflect that in my music by like digging to find the thing that connects to me, the music that I want to hear for myself, and will this be what represents me, and am I telling the whole story?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm glad you say that too about telling the story, because we're in an age right now where we have prodigies coming out the woodwork, and it's amazing too. So I'm glad to see people taking to music and picking up an instrument and learning all the greats and things like that. And that's amazing. I think it's a great thing. I hope that it's a stepping stone in the path for them to, like you said, to chase themselves, for them to find their song within them, and then put it to guitar or piano or drums or clarinet, whatever that instrument might be.
I think one of the things is that you have to challenge yourself. I think it's so easy in this life with all the obstacles we have to kind of like struggle with inspiration. And, I spend a lot of time digging into inspiration. There's a producer named Mick Gorman, and if you've ever heard of the Doom video game, he did the soundtrack. And the listeners may know that, but he said that amateurs wait for inspiration, professionals get it done. And that might be a little crass in the way he said it, but I took it as um, like a lot of people just kind of write the first thing they do, and they run off of that, that's they're gonna base the whole sound off of that. And I think musicians that practice and practice and apply themselves and dig deep and put the 10,000 hours and really push themselves to insanity. um, Mike will know that's funny. But with that being said, when you push yourself to the point of your emotional and mental brink, you will come out with something that's so you, because you're at the bottom in a lot of ways. So I do think that, and this can get into a songwriting podcast, but because I do a lot of songwriting and song structuring, but it was really one of the things that I think, I've heard musicians over the years talk about, like, they can shred, but can they write a song? Can they write something that connects to another human being? Like, some people are connected by the shred, by the flashiness, by the expression of technicality, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's also, and I think it's underrated across most genres, where people don't talk about the songwriting expression, not just the shredding or guitar playing. Can you thump on guitar? Can you shred? Can you play 8 strings? Can you whatever? Like, people don't think about, like, wow, there's hooks where there's something that you latch onto.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, I think somewhere along the line, it's people forgot about the journey and the wisdom that comes in the process of growing. You start as an amateur and you work your way up to become a pro. So it's those steps and those little things along the way that you learn and you get better and you get more creative and you expand and you grow.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting, I can't dissect the journey of music. Like, as we can perceive as recorded audio music is very new in the grand scheme of, everything. It's like maybe 100 years or so, something to that degree. And in that time, we've had so many advances like technology and getting our hands on knowledge that, like I said, the starving musician, so many people had to chase, apply themselves and chase after whatever it is, whether it be trying to get into the studio you heard a rumor about, or spending your life on Broadway or Hollywood to be around music, where people would have to chase after that and may never find the thing that could give them that ability to expand and explore their options and opportunities in the world. And now these days it's so easy to learn and progress that, as myself, I record myself. I don't need a whole $1 million studio and a $1 million producer to sit under and clean toilets and fresh coffee for 5 years before I learn how to turn a knob. I can chase that now. And I think that's great for a lot of people who don't have that ability or the drive or the passion to go that extra miles. But I do think now, I think that makes a little bit of complacency where people still don't have it. They're like, oh, I can access how to record. I can access how to create music. Or I can send audio files across the internet with somebody who I've never physically met and create something. It's so easy. And not to knock that, but I think there is a point of like, are you still chasing your voice as an artist, no matter what it is? And I think because of the accessibility of technology and information, half of the exploration is gone. And that also could be crucial to the exploration of self as a creative.
I couldn't have said that any better. I had to put that in writing. A Volkov original right there, my friends.
I'd hate to say it, but I've spent so much time studying and listening. Like I listen to podcasts about music, or I listen to music, or I listen to audio engineering. Like that's my life. Even while I'm working, I consume myself with that because I want to absorb as much as I can because it's something that I'm chasing. I'm like, I may never tour or be able to do all the things I've ever dreamed to do, but I'm still gonna, regardless of the, in my 20s, I was chasing playing the biggest shows and getting signed and all that, and at a cost to many different projects and bands. But now I'm just chasing the riff, the tone, the expression of myself, that if I were to stop playing guitar, if my hands stopped working, then I left my mark on the world. But more importantly, that I get out what's in my soul. If I got everything on my soul, then I could be at peace. I don't want to be at the end of my life, whenever it may be, and be like, man, I should have done more music. I had more to say.
Yeah, yeah. But you're gonna do what makes you happy, and it sounds like music's always been your number one passion and drive. And it's funny how you say that too, because with everything you just said, I was thinking about that Netflix series, Glow, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, and when the series ended and they crowned a champion, immediately a bad guy came in and took the belt, and people were asking, "Why'd you do that? Why'd you do that?" He goes, "Because the thrill and the money and the journey is in the chase. It's not in the end goal."
Yeah, I mean, I think again, my 20s, that's what I thought too. And I think a lot of musicians, I can name so many people I've listened to talk about this, where like some people love the chase of the creative more than the chase of touring and the labels and stuff like that. And I think, as long as I have more to say, as long as I have the physical capability, I'm going to keep writing. And I think that's a large reason why I might have an extensive body of work like what I've been involved with, but I don't have tons of songs yet out, because I'm trying to write what, like, if I don't feel it, I don't want, no one else is going to feel it in my brain. And I know that might be judgmental of myself or others, but I do feel like, and the key thing is like, a lot of people want to make music that they want other people to like. And this might be a hot take, but a lot of people create music that they want everyone to like, but do you like it? Are you saying your story? Are you speaking your piece? Like, have you put yourself all into your music? You just wrote a riff, and I hear songs all the time where it's like, it's structured, and I do structure too, because I care about, flow and make sense. But, even stories have to have a structure. But
Right.
with that being said, they like, this is one riff, and I'm going to build up the whole song off of one riff, and that's it. It's like, what else can you do with it? What else can you say about it? What else is your expression? I can literally bring up examples of songs I've written where I've taken a section that lasted like a minute and a half, and it was just one chord progression. I just did it like 6 different ways to tell the same story. And that's like a songwriting course I could give on that. And that's because I knew that feeling I had, I wanted to give it in a new way. I wanted to give it in a new tension release and a new expression that maybe no one else thought of, or at least maybe it can bring you a little more into a hook. Maybe you didn't like that first riff, and if I moved on, then I didn't hook you in. Maybe you like that melody I created, but you want some more intensity, or you wanted something cooler, if you wanted some technicality. I could still use that same motif, that same emotion, but keep bringing you in, pulling you out, pushing you out, whatever the case may be. That way you're latched on to the song. And sometimes, regardless if it's a 3-minute song or a 5-minute song or 8-minute song, if you're prog or something, sometimes you just need that one moment that stands out in the whole song to make the chase of that song for the listener worth it. A lot of people may listen to a song and they don't have, choruses are supposed to be that moment that highlights. In a lot of rock and metal, the vocal hook and the chorus is something everyone connects to. And, a lot of people do it very well. And I think that's, as a vocalist myself, that's hard to achieve. So I do it with guitar, and I try to find parts where I can do that. And that's something that I hope that this Life Renewed song has its own expression to, do.
And I'm glad you brought up Life Renewed because, we talk a lot, and I know Life Renewed is on the verge of a comeback here, and you got some things in the pipeline. So for all the new listeners and current fans of Life Renewed, throw us a bone here, buddy. When can we expect something?
So it's coming out in less than 2 weeks, July 28th, which is, 2 weeks from yesterday. For those who know me coming from the rock and metal genre, and I'm just saying that's a broad term, don't get technical. This is a little bit of a departure because I wanted to express it in a different way. It's not in the way you would expect me to, but I think as all the things we've elaborated over the past, 20, 30 minutes, then it'll make sense to you. And I think it's hard to, as an artist, to express my intention, and it is up to interpretation, of course. But it is something that I want people to know. Maybe it won't make sense unless I explain it, and then they get it. They get the concept. But with this song, I have 2 features. The Life Renewed is a lot of collaboration, and maybe one day we'll talk about the structure of the whole EP as a whole. But this is part of an EP concept called Launching from Ground Zero. We can discuss that another time. But this song is called Ground Zero, which is basically the album closer, which is exclusive on here. That's created as a album closer. With that being said, it's got a rock singer named Jacob Porter from State of Illusion, a really good friend of mine, and a good relationship with them since I actually filled in for them on guitar at Blue Ridge Rock Fest 2021. So I know them very well, and this song has something that makes me feel like the way he sings a certain part, it just cuts me right down the middle. And then I have a dear friend named Chris Bornstorff, which is a spoken word poet. So I'm just switching this thing up to where the first half is spoken word poetry, and then the second half is singing. So it's more of an indie rock ambient song, and I'm really proud of it because I've never really done anything on its own that's like this. So I really hope that people dig it and give it a fair chance. And like I said, maybe there's a lyric that hits, maybe there's a section of a song that hits, maybe there's a riff that hits. Both performances from the poetry and the vocals are outstanding. So they could tell us, I could separate the music and they would tell an amazing story on their own. But then I feel like the music also tells a story of their own too. So I think a lot of work was done to, even though I've had this song for a very long time, again, we can get that another day, coming to light and without 2 separate stories being told, I feel like both stories, my story as a songwriter, my expression as a songwriter, as a guitar player, and their expressions as vocal artists in their own right between spoken poetry and rock singing, I think this song marries both emotions and intentions in lyrical content, and I think it's a great piece of music, and this is what I want everyone to hear, and that's what's important to me. Like, I hope people like it, but this is what I want to release. This is what I feel, and if people connect to it, then I'm really blessed. Even if one person connects to it, I'm more than happy. I just want to release music that I feel I connect to, and this is what I want people to hear. Even if they don't like it, I want people to hear this from me, because I don't want to let it leave my when the music is out in the world on Spotify and YouTube, it's no longer mine. So at least when I'm releasing, I can say, this is what I want you to hear from me. And
Right.
then you choose to connect to it the way you desire. If you don't like it, thank you. If you like it, thank you. If you love it, thank you. Whatever it is, I really hope that people can have at least a open mind, open conversation and open mind about this, because the lyrical content is a faith based. Again, we can talk about that on another podcast, the essence of life renewed. But also, I hope people can find a riff of the song or emotion, or a vocal line or lyric that just you can take for yourself and connect to you, because that's really what I want above all. That something of 10 minutes that connect to you, make it a ringtone or make it a mantra, I don't know, whatever it is. I hope that connects to you one way or another. It doesn't have to be the whole song. If you only like 10 seconds of it, then thank you, I'll take 10 seconds. Thank you, Mike, for allowing
That
me to.
that's humility at its finest right there.
That's very kind. Trust me, for 10, 15, 10 years of my life in my 20s, I wasn't this. And, I've been humbled. And honestly, to be able to release music again is really, I know, and like I said, we have more accessibility to music now more than ever, but an ability to create music, but even still to release it, to even like, if you like it, then I'm already successful, because that means what I wanted you to hear you like. And that basically, there's a level of energy exchange. And I'm saying this to the listeners, like, this is why, like, certain bands that are big, they love to hear those songs that connect, whether it be a chorus and they're singing back the chorus, like Just Pretend from Bad Omens. Like, when you hear that chorus and you hear Noah sing that, you want to sing it back with them and you connect. And that's what it is. It's energy exchange. So I hope this song is a form of energy exchange, and you connect to it, and then energy comes back to me, and that's a reciprocating relationship in one way or another. So I value the relationships as a musician of some time, and now more than ever, because I didn't think about that in playing shows and concerts and promoting myself over the years, but I value it now. And I think that's the most important thing about this music. If I'm going to value relationship, I'm going to be as vulnerable and transparent through the music as much as possible. So it's not just a facade or just a hook or just to put on music. It's just me, raw and vulnerable, out there to the world.
And we wouldn't want it anyway, any other way, I should say. Well, Rob, we're at a point in the show right now. We do a little something special called The Floor is Yours. And I give all our guests a couple minutes if they want to say something special to anybody listening. What would you like to say?
The music community is a gift that I don't deserve. And so whoever it is out there, whatever platform, to you, Mike, with the Stoverload podcast and Good Music Radio, and to the people that are connected with you, like Robert with Concert Junkies, with Melanie with the Nix's podcast, so many people, there's so many people I could spend time listening and reaching out to and just name drop and things like that. But the community of music is so special, and that's why relationship is important to me. So relationship with the, I don't want to say fans, but fans, the music listeners, and the people that connect. It's one of those things that as you connect to those people, you're probably making closer friends than the friends you make in everyday life. I have, like, if it wasn't for me having a guitar in my hand, as ironically I have a guitar in my hand, wouldn't be where I am today. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't have the house that I'm in. I wouldn't have half the gear. I wouldn't even know how to make the music if it wasn't for picking up a guitar, and the people and the job, the career that I have is because I met a musician that did the same thing. I can't even begin to tell you how it's very important for me now, to the best of my ability, and I know I'm going to mess up every day. That I don't cultivate relationships, and I don't at least nurture the relationships to the best of my ability. Anybody listens to me and might question my past or might question the projects I've been in. It's like, that was me trying to learn who I am now. And to those that, might have words about it, I'm sorry, because I was just trying to find who I am as a person and grow up and evolve and be a better person so I can nurture the people. We serve what serves us as people. And like I said about it, I want people to feel this, but I also want to, I don't want to say the trope of give back to the community or things like that, because I don't want to sound dishonest or disingenuine. But I at least want the ability to let this music be a way to connect with me, to talk about my struggles. I have songs previously, and I'll say one that's very important in my heart. It's a music video. It's part of the EP as well. There's 3 songs out on my Spotify. YouTube, all that. If you love me at this point, or like me at this point, or support Mike, or whatever the case may be, I'm sure you'll like it. You'll listen to it and at least give it a chance, or find a riff or a song you might like, or a vocal. But aside from that, there is a song that is important to me, and it's called Vision Revision. Um, I didn't write the lyrics, but my friends who watched me struggle with mental health wrote the lyrics, and they um, put their voices on it. And I was another one of those things where I created a journey of music. So many twists and turns of this music. I can honestly break it down. It's not one or two riffs. It's like 30 or 40, really. With that being said, this song and the music video is about my mental health, and an actual true story of uh, my suicide attempt that actually happened with a friend in it that actually stopped me. I wanted this to be as real and as genuine. When we shot it, we thought we relived that moment in 2013. And he was also a band member, a bandmate in one time in a previous band called A Pray for an Afterlife. So this was just as real as it gets without actually being in the exact location and exactly time traveling back to that day, September 26, 2013. I'll put it out there because I'll be real about it. Like, that's when it happened. That's where I did that. And I said, I'm going to share this to the world because, a lot of people talk about mental health, and I know that's a hot topic, but I'm going to actually display it because a lot of people don't have a clue how to connect it, how to connect to people who struggle with it, how to connect to people who feel it. And maybe they don't want to talk about it, but I'll say it. I'll say it for everybody, and I'll be the bullseye on my head, to take the hits, because if nobody speaks up and makes it blatantly apparent for the world, people will stay suffering, because it's no one can find a cure for something no one can see. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
let this music, I hope that song, Vision Revision, it's a music video on YouTube. Very grateful for that video. Everything else is also good, but that song's most important. And then obviously, Ground Zero, please support Chris Bornstorff's poetry. Please support State of Illusion, and please, give their music a chance, support them. And they've got one, Chris is in Michigan, State of Illusion in South Carolina. If you can, go ahead and support them in any way you can. I'm going to go ahead and shout out Jacob Porter and Save Illusion. They've just announced a 2-week tour with the band Cold for the 20-year anniversary.
Nice.
So, like, I'm sure there's some fans out there that like Cold. That's a huge plus. Anybody that can get on the road and share their music, that's a win. And it's so hard to do it because you sacrifice money and mental health to do something you love and just to connect with people. So, and I know them, and sharing the stage with them and months in the garage practicing with them, this is such a win. And those are my friends. So shout out to all the boys in State of Illusion. And like I said, to round it all up, I'm so thankful for this music community, even just watching it from afar. Maybe I'm not in playing shows, but maybe I'll ever play shows again. Maybe I'm not. Who knows? We'll see what the future holds. But
Just keep rocking, brother. We love your work.
Thank you. I enjoy everybody winning. I enjoy so many different people that are supporting artists, even if they're not musicians, like you, Mike, like you doing this diligently for the past couple of years. Like, I mean, you don't get enough credit for it. I mean, I'm wearing your hoodie because you didn't give it to me. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I bought this
And we love you for it.
because I love to support the people that support others, not just support me, but if I see people making a difference in the scene, in the local community, in the music community, even just like across the world, like I real recognize is real, and any way I can help push that, or at least, being a background behind the scenes guy, adding a little fuel to the fire. I mean, that's what I mean by supporter for me. Like, I'm not out there making a big fuss about it, or try not to. I just want to help put a little fuel in the tank, because it's so easy to gas out as creatives.
Right.
So I appreciate you, Mike, and all the people that shouted out. I'm sure there's a bunch of people, but I think I've said enough. I hope everyone gets something out of it. Reach out to me, Rob Volkov. Reach out to Life Renewed. If you have anything to talk about, if you want to vent, if you want to yell at me, if you want to cuss me out, I don't even care. If you've got questions about my music, if you want to know how to record, whatever it is, just reach out. I'm an open book. I'll respond as fast as possible. If you're struggling, please I want to hear from you. I'd rather not hear about you struggling in a dark place. Come reach out to me, please. Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome. And fans, that's a true music artist right there who gives back and is there just as much as he's chasing down his passion. And that passion is bringing us a lot of great music. And I cannot wait to see what Life Renewed is going to be bringing us in the near future. But unfortunately, fans, we have hit our mark for today. Rob, it's been great having you on the show. It's been a long time coming. I'm glad we finally did this.
Pleasure,
You know
Mike.
that the show's got you. Anything that this man's doing, fans, rest assured the Stoverload Music Podcast is going to be right there behind it. So you can count on us to bring you the best from Life Renewed.
Thank
Until
you.
then, fans, this has been my awesome guest, Mr. Rob Volkov from Life Renewed. I'm your host, Mike Stover, with the Stoverload Music Podcast. We will see you guys soon. Stay healthy and stay rocking.
Take care, everyone.